What are you telling people, Suzanne, who feel so lost today?
So believe that there is some guide, some higher being. Some people pray to angels, archangels, who will help you. Believe that. Don't blame anybody else. Don't blame yourself. Just say, here's where I am. Isn't this interesting? Now, what can I do? How can I change my thoughts? First and foremost, how can I see this differently from a higher perspective and trust that there's something better ahead? Every challenge is an opportunity that leads to something greater.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever felt you needed help from the universe, and even right away, then do we have the show for you. Today I'll be having a conversation with Suzanne Giesemann about getting the help from the universe we need, and right when we need it. So welcome to the show, Suzanne. Are you ready to shine?
I'm always ready, Michael. I just get around you and I feel like the light goes a little brighter.
Woohoo! Might be my sweatshirt.
Could be.
With that said, it is an interesting time to say the least right now. What are you telling people, Suzanne, who feel so lost today?
Oh, it's my whole path of teaching the awakened way of living. That's what I call it, the awakened way. And it's very simple. Just remember, you're not only human. And you're part of one big web connecting all that is. I'll say that. I hope I say it till my last breath in human form, because it changes everything.
Well, that to me is the definition of a modern mystic. When I teach to be a modern mystic, what I'm teaching you is to remember you are always on the other side of the veil. This is a holographic universe. It's important. We are here to learn, to grow, to expand, to ascend, but we are not here to just check out or to forget that we are on both sides at the same time.
Well, we can forget, but once you feel what it's like to be in a more expanded state of awareness, then when we forget, it stands out so much. You say, oh, that didn't feel so good, or I don't like the way this is unfolding. And then you notice and you shift back.
Tell me about that. You just hit such a key word. It doesn't feel so good. How much is the universe speaking to us through our feeling state?
Oh, this is the body is the barometer. And we just get so used to thinking, oh, this is the way life is, and it doesn't have to be. I mean, it's through the contrast that we truly enjoy ourselves. We learn that, there is a better way. But if we didn't have the downs, then the ups wouldn't be so pleasurable. But what I've learned, Michael, is to keep the bandwidth of the ups and downs a little bit narrower, not so high, because, well, let me just tell you, I went to a concert, a country music concert Saturday night, and I was high. I was so excited. Can I say who it was?
Oh, please do.
Yeah, it was Carrie Underwood, and I love her. And Ty, my husband, got us tickets, and we haven't been to a live concert of anything in decades. So this was a whole new experience for us, and we were on the floor in the pit. I felt myself getting high from 15,000 people, all that energy. And I kept feeling and hearing from spirit, there's going to be payback. And I said, I know, but is it okay if we just really get high tonight? And they said, yeah, as long as you know. And so literally the next day after the concert, it was like a hangover without the alcohol, right? You come down from that emotional high. So every once in a while, it feels really good to get like that. But you can train yourself to just still really enjoy life, but notice when it's not so enjoyable.
So many directions I want to go with this. First off, what was the conversation you had inside of yourself? So that, because what you brought up is huge. It's not that you're getting to a low place. It's the difference in altitude that hurt. You may actually be landing at a really good place, but because you were so far high up, 15,000 feet, or actually it would be 30,000 feet, all 15,000 people with 2 feet or so, coming back down. So what did you tell yourself to either prepare yourself or so that when you hit that lower point that you did not go, this is who I am, this is where I am at in life, or what in the world did I do?
Well, I know from experience that energetically I would be dragging. And I just made a vow, I'm going to treat myself nicely. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to recognize what's going on. I'm not going to take it out on people around me. And we're just going to ride it out because it won't last more than a day. And that's exactly what happened. We went out in nature, went for a nice, gentle walk, talked about the conference, and just got back in balance.
Thank you. So, if people are going through the school of life right now, I feel like calling it, I don't know. There was a movie years ago called Accepted. They called it the South Harmon Institute of Technology. You can spell that out yourself. If you're going through the school of the South Harmon Institute of Technology, how do we know that these downs are actually going to lead to ups and can help us on our path rather than this is all there is?
A lot of times people have a lot of inner work that they still need to do. So their downs will last a lot longer. So you ask yourself, how long is this lasting? And how might my thoughts be contributing to that? Is there karma at work here? Well, then I'm going to work on clearing out that as well. Karma can be changed in an instant. Karma is simply saying everything you've done to this point, maybe even in past lifetimes, has led to this moment. But once you realize who you are, which is a soul in a human role, and you know that you can up-level your thoughts and your energy through your own actions, then you can erase karma instantly and move forward.
Thank you. So let's go there. Forgive me if I'm throwing a lot of questions. This is really interesting to me, shall we say.
We're kind of all over the place, but it's all related.
Yeah. So I'm going to Florida right now. Not literally going to Florida, but I see you on the southeastern shoreboard, and I'm thinking everybody in Florida who has been struggling right now and is going, wait a sec, you say I can remove karma in an instant. Why did this happen to me? Why am I in this place? Why are things so miserable? Where do I go from here?
The why question is not helpful at all. We're part of a shared experience, and sometimes other people's choices get in the way of our forward movement. So don't blame anybody else. Don't blame yourself. Just say, here's where I am. Isn't this interesting? That statement right there just takes you to neutrality. We usually say, isn't that interesting? But boy, when you're faced with your example, the aftermath of a hurricane that's destroyed so much of your life, you step back from the drama by saying, isn't this interesting? Now, what can I do? How can I change my thoughts? First and foremost, how can I see this differently from a higher perspective and trust that there's something better ahead? This is the thing, Michael. We are part of the evolution of life, ever onward, ever upward. And every challenge is an opportunity that leads to something greater. Every single one. I say this not because anybody who's new to my work might say, oh, look, she has a perfect life. Not at all. This all started when my stepdaughter died. Would never have asked for that. And yet that was the greatest opportunity of my life, to take my life in a completely different direction.
Thank you. I want to talk about victimhood. I want to talk about empowerment. I want to talk about communicating on the other side. For some reason, I feel like sharing. So was it last Friday, 4 days ago? I'm laying on the operating table. Whew. They have injected something into me, and my left arm is starting to burn on fire. And I know what's about to go down. It was an anesthetic being put into me. For some reason, this one hurt like hell. And I immediately went into prayer and enveloped myself in a bubble of love and light. I went to the angels, I went to the guides. I don't know where in the prayer I drifted off. I have no recollection. It was a general anesthesia for what turned out to be a pretty substantial little operation. But that connection to the other side brought great peace like that in what could have been a truly terrifying experience. They had an oxygen mask on me, and the last time I had an oxygen mask on for surgery was as a little kid, where I started gagging and they're pushing the oxygen mask down on me. So it could have triggered. But instead, I went to a higher level or to a higher place right away.
You've trained yourself. You've done the work, and anybody can do that. Yeah, can I butt in here with a quick story?
I would love you to.
Just before I had any of this awareness and thought I was thoroughly human, this was 1997. I needed to have a heart procedure done, just a minor, well, not so minor at the time. And they told me we could play music in the operating room. So I chose James Taylor's Greatest Hits. And they start playing the music just as you described, Michael. Here comes the anesthesia going in my arm. And I remember saying, this might not have been the best choice of music. Because, did I share this with you already?
No, but ask me about root beer in a minute.
Because just as I'm about to go under and they're going to work on my heart, the last thing I hear is James Taylor singing, Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you.
Wow.
That's when you're kind of happy to be knocked unconscious, when you don't have tools like you just displayed about talking to spirit. If I had been where I am now, I would have just said, isn't that interesting? No panic, and just trusted.
Well, it's like I had an ayahuasca ceremony years ago where I went on a journey with the shaman who had his own personal journey to go on. So I was acting as shaman myself during this, and I was a fairly newbie. And somebody had told me beforehand, don't do ayahuasca, you'll blow your field, whatever that means. And because I didn't have the grounding behind things, this rush of fear came up at the last second, apparently like James Taylor speaking to you about your plans. I imagine this fear came up, and at that point, you don't have the tools to do anything about it.
Yeah, that's why I don't mess with that stuff. I have the tools, and I like meditation, slow and easy.
So I said root beer because when I had this operation as a child, they said, what's your favorite flavor out of bubble gum or Coca-Cola, root beer, this or that? I'm like, I love root beer. I used to dig up sassafras roots, boil them, and make my own kind of like root beer concoction as a kid, or root beer tea. It was fun. And so they said, all right, well, we're going to use the smell of root beer to help you go to sleep for surgery. And so they go to put me under. They have that oxygen mask on me, and it starts spraying a root beer smell as I start gagging, and they start pushing me down to keep from getting the mask off, and I'm flailing to get the mask off, and they're pushing down. And so I don't know what your association to James Taylor is now, but I can't have root beer anymore.
You need a little energy healer to work on that one.
So how do we connect with spirit specifically at this time so that we can leave victimhood behind?
It all comes down to belief that there is a higher being who will help you. And that, ultimately we all share the one mind source, and it expresses itself through all kinds of beings who are willing to help us. So believe that there is some guide, some higher being. Some people pray to angels, archangels, who will help you. Believe that, and that you're worthy of help. I just find it stunning that people have allowed others to tell them that they're not worthy of this love that's our true essence. You all are. We all are. Can't be anything but. And then set the intention to be helped, to find a way out of victimhood. When you set that, asking for help from the higher realms, It will come in ways that you can't imagine. And because you can't imagine, open yourself to how that's going to show up. There's no one recipe for freeing yourself from victimhood. So ask those who have the higher perspective.
So many beautiful questions. Thank you, Suzanne. First off, who do you pray to, if you don't mind me asking?
Whoever has the highest answer for me, because I know it's all joy. Joy is my name for God, source, spirit. I know whoever is going to help me is joy and expression. So it's in the moment. If I feel a presence, I'll ask them for help. But generally, it's just I'm trusting that some being out there knows what's going on and will help me.
Okay, so let's, we won't fast forward. We'll fast back. You're on the island. A storm is approaching. And I'm sure this has happened a time or two in the past. So I'm going past tense, not future tense. There's a storm headed in. The conscious mind is singing a good 1970s song, Freak Out. Dun, 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 dun. Where do you go? Because you said, no, I'm centered, Michael. Where do you go to get and stay in that centered place as the waters are changing?
It's a daily practice of just a few minutes a day of being centered. I know you and I have talked in the past about my sip of the divine practice. So I know hundreds of thousands of people are using this practice, and I get such good feedback. Just 3 minutes a day, more if you can find it, but most people have a challenge finding the time. So 3 minutes a day to feel what it's like to be centered. So literally the storm Ian, the hurricane, was headed to Hilton Head last month. And there was no freaking out. There was just the human earthly acknowledgement. What actions do we need to take to do as much as we can do? And after that, it's out of our hands. And you just trust. And even if all goes to hell, then you deal with it, because we're never alone. Support is always here. And it's that training. In my sip of the divine, you ask one question of higher consciousness. So you're getting in the habit of not only being centered, being silent for a few minutes, but connecting and asking a question of those with a higher perspective. It is a training. It's a discipline. It's a commitment, but it works. It pays off. It's worth it.
It sounds in a sense like automatic writing. And by that, I mean automatic writing, the more that you dive into it, the more you create, they say neurons that fire together, wire together. The more you create a connection, and it starts to go stronger and stronger. And it becomes kind of this myelinated superhighway where you have such a tunnel of information that is able to come across and forth that you go, not a need to panic. And if there is a need, we've got our car right here. We know we can do something about it.
That's exactly right. And I've come to that same realization, Michael, that we humans actually can repattern the physiological responses. We'll still panic in an immediate emergency, but otherwise we can immediately then get centered again and react from a much more calm place. And when you're in that calm state, then the insights and guidance that comes from above is way better than how you would normally react. Because unless you shift, you're going to go to old patterns, old human ways of reacting. But when you shift your perspective to tune into what guidance is here, it's always fresh, it's always new, and it's always going to be superior to the conditioned human reactions.
So you're there, storm is coming, and all of a sudden you get some interesting news. And the nervous system, I'll speak for mine and I'll speak from my great upbringing, immediately, still will go to, oh no, and then I come right back down. It's fine. It's all good. There is that immediate rush of adrenaline or something of a fight or flight mechanism.
I don't know anybody who's been able to overcome that. That's built in, wired into the body, but we are not just the bodies.
And you can link to it the opposite. You can literally link from practice. You've done this. You may not have consciously thought of it, but you've done it. Every single time you go to, oh no, oh crap, oh heavens.
I'm a Navy commander retired, so I go way worse than oh crap. Sailor words just pop out and ask anybody.
I get it. And you've been on the sea when crap probably has gone down.
Yeah.
And so you go to your sailor language, and then you probably notice that you've gone to your sailor language, and that actually brings you back out of your sailor language.
Oh, it's that noticing again. And it's really funny because I do drop quite a few F-bombs, and then I'll look at Ty and I say, spiritual teacher. We can't take this too seriously because we're here to be fully human, and there are appropriate times to be human. But it's that contrast, and it's knowing and having the tools to just instantly come back to center. What a blessing.
I'm doubled over. So I got, as far as I know, this hernia really started to tear apart after I got hit by a car last year. But then I had food poisoning about 2 months ago, and everything was holding together pretty well. And then the food poisoning, as I'm retching over the toilet, is literally tearing me apart. And so spiritual teacher here, doubled over the toilet, is going to Jessica, this is bad. This is really bad. And she is not used to me saying, this is bad. And she's like, well, what do you mean by that? And I'm thinking to myself, this is tearing me apart. And something really good can and will come out of this. It's not happening by accident.
Have you figured out yet what that is?
Yeah, twofold. There are two distinct messages that have come through so far. I could almost call it three. But the message number one, a hernia represents carrying too heavy of a burden. And so even though I have been working to cut back on things, and I say I'm on sabbatical, you're the first interview that I've done in quite a while. I did Michael Beckwith a month or two ago, and you, and that's been it in 3 or 4 months as I've cut back and shifted gears. With that said, there's been too much of a burden I've been lifting, and that has caused a strain and kind of tore me apart.
Is everybody else listening? Oh, I know so many people can relate.
I get to, and it is apparently hernia surgery is the number one. I had no idea this. Number one, they call it elective, somehow elective. My guts were hanging out, but they call it elective. Al, shouldn't laugh. Surgery in this country because we're all taking on too much. And so there is a pruning of the tree. When you get that message, you go, all right, what can I do? Now, I overcommitted this fall. At the same time, there was something on my heart that I really, really wanted to do. And that's part 2 or part B of it. Why was I torn apart? Because I was being torn apart because I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. I was being pulled 2 distinct directions. If you say, Michael, what do you want to do? Well, family first. I'd love to keep riding the bike and go to the World Championship. That's not even second, though. What I really want to do, Suzanne, is write. I'm get like a kid in a candy store. Write. And I thought I was opening up my calendar to write this fall, and instead I overcommitted. And so I was being torn apart, literally, to metaphorically or symbolically teach me what's going on and help steer me in a different direction.
Yeah. Yep. Everything teaches. The universe teaches us. So anybody who's going through any challenges, if you can't figure it out, again, shift your perspective higher, go to your heart and ask, universe, what is this showing me? What am I not seeing? Why am I hitting a wall? What's the message here? Train yourself to ask the questions. Don't just wonder. This is what I did the first half of my life. Well, I don't know. I can't figure it out. That just dissipates like a flashlight versus laser beam to the source of all answers. What the heck is going on here? Please tell me. I can't see it.
And I say, please tell me I can't see it, and make it clearer than day. Because I might be a little bit obtuse. In the beginning, as we go down this road, the egoic mind fights back so much, Suzanne. How do we early in the process, because you and I are well down the rabbit hole, which means it's easier to ferret out the ego. It can still trick us a little bit, at least speaking for myself, but it's easier to catch it quickly. What do we do early on to trust that what we're hearing when we go, I'm being torn apart, and you hear, well, you need to back off, is actually coming from someplace else rather than the egoic mind?
Well, we have spirit guides. Every one of us does. And they're your friends and they're here to work with you, but you have to work with them. So you say, look, my guide, sometimes I miss this stuff. So I want you to make it really clear to me by giving me like the sound of a bell in my head. And I'll literally hear ding, 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 the word ding, ding, ding. I once wanted to notice something very clearly, and I said, take my breath away when this happens. And then I forgot I asked for it. I asked for it when I would get a drop-in from spirit. That doesn't happen too often. When somebody's loved one who I haven't heard from in a while wants to talk to me, I said, I don't notice these drop-ins all the time. So I said, take my breath away when I have a drop-in. And then I forgot about it. And then I'm riding down the highway with a friend in her car, and all of a sudden, I can't breathe. I was like, what the heck? What the heck? Oh, I asked for this. Oh, your daughter's here. If you're willing to have certain signs, you can ask for a specific sign. You make my hair tickle on the top of my head. Get my attention some way. It doesn't have to be painful. This is the point. Ding, ding, ding. Very gentle.
I like ding, ding, ding. Lately, I get lyrics to music, lyrics to different songs start popping in my head. And if I pay attention and listen to the lyrics, they're very clearly giving me a message. I wonder, even if James Taylor, if there was a positive message.
Yeah. You've got a friend.
Woohoo.
That's James Taylor. There you go. And it's your guide. So connect with them. How'd I just get that lyric real quick? I said, oh, that'd be cool. Give me one real quick. Boom. There it was. That's how it works. They're always here.
What's a simple way? You just asked and heard. Is it as simple as ask and just hear? And in a minute, I'll tell just briefly a little bit about automatic writing, since that's kind of my method of getting people started in it. But you ask and just hear. Where do others, well, actually, two questions. Would you mind if we do a sip at the end?
No, sure. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
If you want 3 minutes of quiet time, that's fine.
Who couldn't use 3 minutes of quiet time, Suzanne?
Yeah, right.
What's the simplest way we can ask?
You just ask, but it's an asking directly from your heart to whoever has the highest answer. So you really, like the phrase, just do it. You just ask. But it's not, again, that difference between wondering and laser beam. What's the answer? Give me that lyric. But it's who you're asking, higher consciousness. And that's what makes the difference. And so some of you just now, I heard some of your listeners, they just said, but I don't know who I'm asking. Again, whoever in the higher realms, the non-physical realms, has the answer for you. So that brings in that element of trust again, that you're not only human and you're part of one big web.
I've got an interesting question for you. Please forgive me. Do you ever go to your stepdaughter and ask for the answers?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. You can go directly to someone across the veil if you know that they will know. And if you don't know who has the highest answer, because our loved ones who have passed, no, they're saying it's okay, are kind of low on the pecking order compared to angels and archangels, right? But they still have a higher perspective, and they are very intimately familiar with our issues here. So it's great to ask our loved ones for help.
My daughter Miraku on the other side, the twin of baby Hannah, she will take over my automatic writing, and she will say, look, your team is all here. Let me answer for them, Daddy. I've got this. And so she will pull in answers from whoever has the highest answer for my highest good and kind of be that conduit for me to bring
She's
it
your
right
medium.
to me. Absolutely. She's my medium on the other side. And on the other side is interesting because we've got our 5-month-old baby Hannah who is babbling with her. It appears to be babble to us. It's not all of the time.
Goosebumps with that one. Of course she is.
So they are continuously in conversation. You can look at her looking around and stuff, which will be very interesting because we will. It's an interesting diversion that's not. We all come here with that level of connection in the beginning, don't we?
Oh, yes. Yes. And you used to hear about all the time, my child has an imaginary friend. I feel that more and more people are acknowledging they're not imaginary. They really are friends in spirit. And if we encourage that, they might keep it a little longer, but it will, in most cases, naturally diminish between ages of 7 and 11. But that's the accepted belief system. Perhaps if we stop buying into that, children will hold on to that ability longer.
Yeah, I wonder if I'll get to set an extra plate at the table. She's not there. She's still in bottlehood right now, but an extra plate because I want to encourage that because I believe that this next evolution of humanity is bringing it full circle. What you said today is not just being human, is remembering who and what we are. And if we symbolically set the table for ourselves on the other side of the veil, for our loved ones on the other side of the veil, it becomes harder to have that connection cut from us.
That's right. Yeah. I encourage people all the time to acknowledge that your loved ones who passed are still part of the family, still here. We talk about the other side of the veil, but it's not a faraway place. The veil is just the inability we have because of this body to see that they are right here at a different frequency band.
That's everything. And that's what I've been teaching a lot is that there is no out there. There is no veil over there. Your loved ones are not way over there where it's hard to reach. If anything, we're all inside of it. It is all here at every moment.
Just, being. Yeah.
So what's most challenging for you as a teacher right now, Suzanne? And then what's most interesting to you as you're navigating this path?
Most challenging is helping people deal with their own expectations and assumptions. I can teach tools, but many people then expect to immediately be working as a medium or immediately have that connection instead of recognizing that they're like this flower that just needs to be fertilized and watered and cared for and nurtured. And it's going to open up perhaps at a different rate your ability to connect than the person may hope for. It may not happen overnight, or it may, we don't know. So the greatest challenge is helping people to find patience and compassion with themselves as they just enjoy the journey. That's the greatest challenge.
And I'm going to come back to what's most interesting, but I get to dovetail off of that, the words that come up to me. And one of the greatest challenges as a teacher, because I can't convince anybody of it. Self-love.
Well, sip the divine 3 minutes a day and you'll start to find that love and understand why you are so very loved and it can be no other way.
What is most interesting for you right now?
It's not going to be what you think. What's most interesting to me is how the universe sent me this tech genius who voluntarily designed an app for my daily messages from Spirit. And it's coming out. It's probably out now. Yeah. By the time this
get any better than this?
It doesn't. And it has this button where you say, universe, what do I need to know right now? And you push the button and from the library of almost 5,000 daily messages that are in there, it just brings up the perfect message. It's called the Awakened Way app. And this was a gift from the universe. And I find it so interesting that a decade ago, my guide Sanaya said, you will be using technology to share the messages of hope. And here it is. I mean, we have our website, of course, but to have this beautiful app that is uplifting for people, you're countering the negative news. I don't remember your acronym that you
Negative
used about
worthless stimulation.
that. It's countering that by right here in this beautiful format on any smartphone. The Awakened Way app, free for anybody to just be inspired, and then tools in the app for getting your own messages. That is so interesting how that unfolded. One little email I got from this wonderful young man, Jayesh. He said, I want to do this for you because your work has helped me so much through my grief. And I thought, I got to tell you, Michael, I thought, can this be real? And it felt real. And I reached out to him, and then I tuned into his soul, and it felt so pure. And then to develop the app, he needed all the passwords to my website. He needed to get in there and dig around. So what do? Just exactly what we're talking about. Shift to the universe. I would like to trust this man. I do trust him. What sign will you send me just to validate that this is really real? It seems like a dream. And I was shown a hawk. And I said, all right, if this is real, it needs to be in my face within the next day. So about 3 hours later, I'm on a bicycle. You'll love the bicycle part. Going down this trail with a friend and with my husband, Ty. We're riding. There are trees on both sides. Michael, this red-tailed hawk burst through the trees right here, not up in the sky, at head level on the bicycle, flew along beside me with a mouse in its mouth. I mean, it was just one of these stunning moments. At first, my ego tried to say, that's scary. It's eating the mouse. It's going to devour you. And I said, I'm not buying it. This is very cool. This is a National Geographic moment. And it has completely unfolded so beautifully. So you just ask, trust. It's interesting. It's magical.
We were living this summer in the Poconos, and I was asking for guidance with everything going on. And of all things, on the highway, I was 84 heading to 80, something like that. I had to hit my brakes, 70, 80 miles an hour, and pull the car to the right because a hawk had come down to windshield level. Jessica's like, all I could do was see its belly. Who has to dodge a hawk on the highway? And we immediately said, what were you thinking? What was I thinking?
Yeah. Yeah. I love how you make that connection right away, that there's never any standalone incident. That's you're part of one big web, part of the awakened way of living. You recognize that nothing happens in isolation.
Is there a practice on top of the sip, and we'll get there, that you do on a daily basis? I've got a fun question. Forgive me. Is there anything that Ty has been open to doing on a daily basis?
He doesn't meditate. You'll laugh. When I go on travel, he comes up here to my meditation room up above the garage. He sits in my meditation chair because the dogs are used to that ritual with me every morning. And he comes up and he sits there and he reads the news just so they feel he's meditating. And I want to say, sweetheart, it's not the same energy, but the dogs love it anyway. Just on a daily basis, he supports my work so beautifully. That's all I can tell you. The other day, I went to a sound healing session while we were the next day after the Carrie Underwood concert. It was one of my ways of coming back into balance. And I said, you want to come along? And I was just so thrilled because he said, yeah, I would. So I'm answering your question a little differently than you expected, but yeah.
This works. And I've got to guess that you have imprinted your cushion with some pretty good energy at this point.
Oh, yeah, that's what the dogs, the second I start, I imagine that shaft of white light that I always encourage people to visualize when you meditate. It connects you to the heavens. It grounds you down into the earth. I knew it was a real energetically, but when we got our first puppy, Nellie, since we moved into this house here, she just ran right under the chair. It's like, it's as if she could see it. So I had to put a dog bed under there eventually. It's right under the chair so she's more comfortable. Yeah, it's very real, that energy.
How long do you meditate each day?
maybe 12 minutes. I say it that way because I always play one of my hemisync recordings. It helps you get into that nice, coherent whole brain state. And I'll stop the music and I'll just look, oh, how long was that? Oh, 12 minutes. Sometimes 30, sometimes 7. I don't worry about the time. It's the quality, right?
And I like that there's a balance for you. There's a balance, I'm guessing, between the speaking to the universe, the listening to the universe, and the just being with the universe.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this morning I sat and I get these daily messages that go into the Awaken Way app and on dailyway.org. And this morning I sat and I wasn't getting a message. And the human side goes, oh my God, have they stopped? And the soul says, it won't stop. There's never an end to the beautiful messages Spirit can share with us. There are new ways of saying old things, always. So I said, well, clearly it's me. So that's where you just sit and be. And that's when I know it's not coming from me, because I can't make those up. That's automatic writing. And I just waited. And there it comes, and then that's that balance you're talking about. Just being quiet, receiving, asking. It's a dance.
I like it. This morning I had one of my mentors, Jack Burden, and he was my best man at our wedding at 89 years young. And he transitioned. He said that every American guy tends to check out about 6 months after retirement, is what he would say. And so he drove the youngsters, he called it, with the nursing home bus. He drove them till 93, and then he retired from like his 3rd, 4th, 5th job and started to have congestive heart failure. And I'm like, well, what if we could do something about this? And he's like, damn it, Michael, I want out of here. I want to go see what's on the other side. I went into automatic writing this morning, and he had a beautiful, this is Jack Burden, lecture for me out of love. It's out of love. So you can tell the frequency. Is this coming from ego, that fear-based place, or is it coming from a place of love? And he wanted to talk to me about where we were at, about what we were doing, about my writing, things of this sort from the other side, from his watching me from the other side. And it was actually really quite beautiful. And then gave me a teaching for my School of Mystics class tomorrow, which, of course, was nothing like anything I'd ever heard of. That's when you can tell when your conscious mind is over in left field and you get something that's from a different sport.
Yep.
And so it was both really cool hearing from him, and I think it's something, we can all, whether it's automatic writing, whether it's something else, we can all tap into that once we start, love your opinion on this, putting one baby step in front of the other, put a toe into those waters, come back out, put another toe in, come back out, and you start to entrain yourself to that frequency and to that listening and understanding.
Yeah, it is a different frequency, and I do believe that that's why it doesn't always happen all at once and just open up. It's an adaptation. Your physical body needs to adapt to the higher energy that's coming through. It's a process. So enjoy the process instead of having to get somewhere, and it will surprise you how it unfolds.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So on that note, we've both got cool courses coming up. I've got an automatic writing program where we're going to take a 12-week amazing deep dive into automatic writing with the Shift Network. What is your free event coming up?
Oh, that's with the Shift Network as well. It's not until December 6th, but it's a play on a recent trip I made on our boat. So it's navigating the sea of consciousness, 7 keys to navigate the sea of consciousness and accelerate your innate mediumship skills, because all of us have them. So it's what I learned on the water. And as lessons were happening, I was saying, ooh, that would help us when we deal with consciousness. Oh, that would help in mediumship. And so 7 lessons from that trip for all of us.
Thank you. Where do people go to find out more about that?
Oh, right on my website, right on the homepage of my website. Go down under the banner and under the first little video, and there is a few thumbnails of upcoming events. It's right there.
Excellent, excellent. And I'll see if I can get a URL as well to direct people there too. With that said, if we go back in time and we put you in your sailor's uniform on the deck, yes, and something was going down, can you recall an event that now makes sense to you from a spiritual context that didn't then, and what have you learned?
Well, actually, I have to tell you that I never served at sea while in the Navy. I came in before women were allowed on most ships, so I was always ashore. But there were certainly many. Oh, funny. I was going to tell you one, and they just took me to another incident, just like that, my guides. Yeah. What have I learned? Week 1 in the Navy, when I was at Officer Candidate School, we had our very first inspection. And there were only 3 women in our class with a bunch of men. And so everybody was in rooms of 2. The 2 women were in one room. I was all by myself. Here we are in this really high stress environment. I had nobody to bounce things off of. So we had our first inspection and they came in and you had to have your locker locked. And I did have my locker locked, but I had put some of my books in the extra closet. Well, that was called gear adrift. And that was a major violation. I didn't know. So I got gigged, Navy term. And while the next weekend, all of these officer candidates got to go out in Newport, Rhode Island in their beautiful white Navy uniforms. Think an officer and a gentleman or Top Gun, right? For the very first time, go out in Newport in this gorgeous place and wander around and check things out in uniform. Here I am being punished, marching around the parade field with my fake rifle as punishment for having gear adrift. And I just kept thinking, this is not fair. I didn't know. And I didn't have tools at the time. And so the lesson looking back is, when you don't know what you don't know, you suffer. But there's a part of you that already knows you are far more than human. It's the soul, and it's what's drawn you to watch these kinds of programs right now. So learn to tune into that and you will suffer so much less. There will still be challenges, always, but you learn from them when you face them differently from the higher perspective.
Thank you. To me, it's the difference between pain and suffering. You may still be gigged. You may still have to have that wooden rifle on you and everybody else is going out to have fun and you're running your laps.
It wasn't fair, but life isn't fair, right?
It's a gift. You're talking about it now. You learned from it. You may have mentioned it many times before. You may not have, but it certainly helped you in this whole game of life, this game of an existence, and you know not to torture yourself for it. And that may have been an early lesson as you're going around going, this isn't fair. Well, heck, I'm not going to be able to keep picking on myself for things going wrong that I have absolutely no control over, or I'm going to wash out of this program at best. I'm going to just have to learn how to let it go.
Well, if I had known then that I had a guide marching along beside me, it would have changed everything, let me tell you.
What would your guide have said?
Left. Suck it up, right? That's the Navy term. Yep. And I would have said, where were you when I put that stuff in the closet? Yeah.
Annie, before we wrap things up and go into a sip meditation, any questions or thoughts you may have for me today?
Yeah, I just want to know how fatherhood is.
Oh, I don't have words. It's better. It's crazier. It's wilder. It's more of a commitment than anything I ever could have imagined. And the biggest thing I want is more time to be with her. That does change everything. That's part of this tearing apart. It is, so I'm older, 52, older, I'll put in quotes, for my first child. And I don't believe, we can say we're not ready. I don't believe I was ready or at where I'm at now. So I'm so grateful. And we had three miscarriages. We've been trying for a while here. but I am so grateful for the understanding that I can bring to baby Hannah now, for the patience that I have now, for the ability to, I want to say, translate from the other side. That girl's plugged in. She doesn't need me translating from the other side. But it is, I can hear her upstairs. She has 3 toys right now that are the coolest thing. As a qualifier, whatever she wants to do in life, totally up to her. I have I will love her no matter what she chooses to do. But this week was her 5-month birthday. And this is her on her first bicycle.
Oh my gosh.
Pure joy. So she has a bicycle now. She has a bouncer where she bounces up and down in a hallway, which is so cool. And she has the chair with wheels. I don't remember what they call it, that you walk around.
But see, this is it. She is joy. My
Pure
joy with the
joy.
capital J. She is joy, experiencing the joy of being on a bicycle and bouncing up and down. And Joy gets to experience that beautiful feeling through that beautiful little vessel. It's perfect.
And we get to experience the joy unobscured by the conscious mind. She's not trying to make things up. She's not trying to please someone. She's not trying to say, well, what would people like to say in this moment? She wakes up, she sees you, and she's like, ah. She's just, and that's coming from, well, it's coming from us, meaning who and what, you and I, and every single one listening, who and what we truly are. That's a woohoo. All right. Any last words of wisdom you'd like to share before you take us on a sip of the divine?
No, I was just looking down because I was getting my timer ready for you. I'm not going to let the bell go off and jar us, but I will watch and keep an eye out. So that's the goal, just 3 minutes. I love that it's called Sip of the Divine. I was given that name from my guides because every morning most people sip some kind of drink, coffee, tea, a smoothie, milk, whatever. And you can take easily 3 minutes to prepare and drink that. So if you can devote that much time to your spiritual journey and your connection with the divine, it is truly a sip of the divine, and it makes such a difference in your life. So I'm going to get the timer going here, and you'll see that your purpose is to be centered, to be quiet. I'll get you there. And then any thoughts that come in, just notice them with curiosity and let them float by like clouds in the sky. You're the clear blue sky. Let the thoughts just pass by. Don't engage them. But I'll lead you to ask a question, and you watch. The answer will float by, but it'll stand out from the normal conditioned thoughts and clouds that pop in your mind. You can engage that one. So if an image or a thought that's unusual, a direct answer to your question comes in, say, what is that all about? And then be quiet again and notice what arises. And we just do that for 3 minutes. Enjoy the silence. When you ask the question, notice what arises naturally. And that's it. Okay? So we ready? I'll start my timer. All right. So imagine that shaft of white light coming down from above, goes around you and anchors you into the earth. And to get centered, take a nice deep breath in. And exhale longer than you inhaled, releasing any stress and tension. Just sink down into a nice, expanded, relaxed state. And now just continue breathing slowly and deeply. Move your awareness to the heart. Acknowledging that you are not only human. We're going to ask whoever in the non-physical realms has the perfect answer right now. What is it I need to know right now? And now just be aware. And with a huge surge of gratitude for whatever you've experienced, to spirit and to yourself for doing this practice, simply know that when you open your eyes, you'll be fully awake and more energized than when you started. So just like that, come back to waking consciousness.
That was a very fast 3 minutes. Thank you.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's like coming home to an old friend, Suzanne. This has been beautiful.
I love chatting with you, Michael. Yeah.
Cannot thank you enough. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get that sip of the divine, check out everything Suzanne has to offer, dive into automatic writing, get the app, and above and beyond all else, plug into the universe with everything you've got, and shine bright. Woohoo! What a beautiful, grounded, positive, powerful experience with Suzanne Giesemann today. To check out more amazing interviews, be sure to click here. Check out our live events every Monday night as well. You can check out our automatic writing course at the link below. Love you guys so, so much. Keep on shining bright. Woohoo! How does it get any better than this? Check out the course right here. Check it out.